All right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakwadash, for the Spirit to do this lesson. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the men of the Lord. Prophesying, preaching, and teaching on the highways and byways in sincerity and in truth. It's your brother Yabra coming back at you with a little bit more news and prophecy. The tensions is heating up between Russia and and America, man. As one of the elders had put out earlier this week, that the tension between Russia and America is one of the major things to watch when it comes to biblical prophecy and basically World War III. These are the main two superpowers that are going to butt heads, just like back in World War II. It was essentially America and Germany, or England and Germany. Those were the main two superpowers, and then you had various other nations that supported uh, those larger nations. You know, you had what you call the Western powers, and you had the Axis powers. That being Germany, Italy, Japan, all in cahoots, and then you had America, England, France. Uh, they were all in cahoots against each other, and that was World War II basically. Now World War III, the stage is still set. Today you basically have Russia, China, Iran are starting to form an alliance, and then America has merged itself into that beast that was spoken about in Revelation, also known as NATO, which is basically all of Europe, aside from those really Eastern European countries that uh, basically all the way to like Ukraine and Russia. All right, once you get over to Russia, it's basically no longer NATO. It's no longer a part of the beast. It's that and the entire uh, Americas, really, that are now in cahoots, and they're all vying for the land over in Salakia, over in the Levant region. All right, there's a lot of debate, a lot of a really hot area is the Levant region by Syria right now. There's a major war in Syria. There are proxy wars going on. Russia is backing Syria. America is backing Israel. All right, and Saudi Arabia. All right, Iran is backing by default uh, Syria. So it's getting hot. Let's read a little bit of this article. It says Russia's Putin ups ante in new Moscow-Washington rift, challenges American counterpart Biden to urgent live broadcast debate. Now, this guy Putin is, hey, you can say what you want about this Edomite, but he's a sharp guy because he knows Joe Biden is not in good health, man. And I believe through the spirit, this guy is not going to make it through his whole term. He's going to do a lot of damage. The elites are all calling the shots anyway. They really don't need a president of the United States for them to do their wickedness. All right, that whole deep state, that thing is all set up. It doesn't need a figurehead. But they could have Kamala Harris later in there later. But this guy Putin knows, so he's challenging him to a debate. And if you know anything earlier about what happened this week, actually this is it here. It says Putin replies to Biden's insinuation that he's a killer. It says U.S. president is talking about himself, but I wish him good health. So there's another shot at Joe Biden's health, right? That's why he's calling them out to basically a debate, because that guy Joe Biden's not all there, man. Even if you can get this guy to show up and to make a public appearance, the things that he says is his mind is going into mush. Every time he gets on stage, he says some crazy shit. Let's read a little bit of this. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin has challenged his American counterpart Joe Biden to a live stream online discussion without a delay, and suggested that they debate bilateral relations and issues of importance to the wider world. Why? Because before people go to actual war, what they try to do is garner the support of other nations, right? They want the other nations to be on their side in case things get tough. They might need supplies in a certain region. They might need fuel or food in a certain region, and so the more countries that believe in your side of why you're fighting the war, the better. All right, and that's how it goes in a global conflict. So this guy is smart for opening this thing up for that. It says the president named the fight against the pandemic, regional conflict resolution, and strategic stability issues as possible topics, noting that he would be ready to talk to Biden on Friday or Monday in an open chat. All right. And one other thing I meant to mention down here is when he says the U.S. president is talking about himself when he calls Putin a killer, is because this guy just did a strike in Syria, man. For no goddamn reason, he killed like 22 people or so. And they're just demons, man. America's been bombing the shit out of those Middle Eastern countries for decades, and there's been no consequences. A lot of that shit probably don't even make the news, and America has the audacity to call other people dictators, other people killers, when they're the biggest terrorists on the planet Earth. All right, and that goes for all of you Edomites, in every one of you Edomite countries that support the beast, even Russia. All right, the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah is going to destroy every last one of you, and he's revving this thing up specifically for that purpose, so he can judge the nations. As a matter of fact, let me get Joel 3. There's a couple precepts that come to mind when you think of these things. But Joel 3 comes to mind of why is the Most High doing this, right? It says, I'll start at 9. It says, Joel 3 and 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of the war draw near, let them come up. And that's what this is. This is basically a giant boiling pot, of tension between all these different nations who already have their alliances. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. That's going to include weak nations, nations like Belarus, nations like Syria, nations like Iran, which has gotten a lot stronger. All right, nations like Turkey, Greece. All of these nations are going to pick a side eventually, man. And we'll read exactly what the end of what their decision is going to be and what the result of that's going to be. And it's ultimately going to be the destruction of America. That's how this whole thing ends, and that's the beautiful thing about prophecy. All right. Let me continue. It says, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen and gather yourselves round about thither, cause cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. All right. So it's saying, bring all your soldiers, all your tanks, your military men, all of your trained fighters, bring everything down. Where? It says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is in the area of Syria. Really, it's that whole area around the Levant, around the Euphrates River, right? That whole area from Iraq, Babylon, ancient world Babylon, Iraq up the Euphrates, up all the way through Syria, up into Turkey. All right, that whole region is going to be lit. Okay. It says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. And this is the key point, for their wickedness is great. That's why the Most High is revving this thing up. That's why Putin is antagonizing Biden, because this thing is going to come to a boiling point. World War III is it could happen any month now. All it takes is one airstrike, one attack, for all hell to break loose. All right. Other scriptures come to mind. Ezekiel 38. I'll start at 4. It says, actually, I'll start at 3. It says, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. All right, and Gog is next to Magog, which is formerly the area of Japhet, right? But today in that land, when you look at it, it's basically the northeastern part of Europe. All right, which is basically where Russia is today. That's where Moscow is. Russia is a very large country. It goes all the way across the Asian continent. But the majority of where all the Edomites live are on the western part of Russia. All right, I'll pull up a map. Um, I'll pull up a map just to show you brothers exactly what I'm talking about here. If it'll load. Um, so the northeastern part of Europe, right? This is all Europe here, right? So you go to the northeastern part. This is where the majority of the Edomites live, all right? And this is the ancient region of where Gog and Magog was. All right. Now you can see Russia is a big country, goes all the way across the eastern continent, right? But when it says Gog and Magog, it's talking about these Edomites that live over here in this region. That includes Ukraine, Belarus. That whole land is the Gog of Magog, and they're going to form particular alliances. Let's just read it. Let's just read it. It says, "Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth in all thine army." And then that's what this is. That's what he's doing. This used to be the Russian. Russia used to be the Soviet Union, the USSR. All right, and when back in the day when they were the USSR, man, they were a major threat to America, man. I mean, they were the reason they got so many nukes on the planet today is from them. America would build some nukes, and then Russia would build some nukes, or USSR would build some nukes. You know, and then they would build some nukes, and then another country would build some nukes, and before you know it, you have all these nukes. Now, America will tell you they only have 5,000 nukes on stockpile, and other countries will say they'll have similar numbers. But we know that that's not true, man. You know, the Most High has so many missiles that's going to hit America alone. You know, it's ridiculous. So they're all lying. They're all fronting on that part. And we know how this thing is going to end. Let's see it. It says, "In all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." All right. So this is talking about the gathering of World War III at the end of the day. And that's where we're almost at. And look who's with them. Persia, which is modern day Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya. Now, Libya got royally screwed over by America. All right. They tried to go off the dollar, and they overthrew their leader, Gaddafi. And now that country is completely ruined. It's got human trafficking all going through it. It's poor. It's not a place you want to live, you know. And Libya has a beautiful coastline in the Mediterranean, but no one wants to live there, man, because it's rampant with crime. It's been overthrown and destroyed, you know. And the people there have a major beef with America. It says all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah, the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. So this is basically talking about Europe, Eastern Europe. All right. I was gonna get Obadiah. It doesn't. That's part of it too. Obadiah 1 and 7. But you brothers get the point. You know that these tensions are brewing, and I can't wait for this thing to pop off, man. Because I'm tired of this goddamn place. You know, waking up dealing with ailments in your body and your job and all this bullshit. Let's get this thing popping, man. So the last thing I'll read is Jeremiah 50 and 9, which is a beautiful scripture, and this is the conclusion of what's going to happen to America. And you can parlay that with Revelation 17, Joel 2, Isaiah 34. You know, there's plenty of scriptures that talk about the thermonuclear destruction of and the end of America, but this one here is short and concise. This is Jeremiah 50 and 9. It says, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country." All right, and that north country is basically talking about Europe, you Edomite countries. All right, and that's going to include the Middle East and whoever's got nukes, whoever's part of the first world. If you develop nukes, you're going to launch the motherfuckers on America. on the whore, you know. It says, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. And how are their arrows going to be of a mighty expert man? It's because these, when you look into ICBM technology and various other technologies like the Satan II missile, they can be launched from submarines underwater. They can be launched from outer space, from satellites. They can be launched from silos. Uh, and they have perfect tracking, meaning they get their target locked in on a computer and they go directly to that target, and they're designed to get past defense systems. All right. So it says, "Thence shall she be taken. Their arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord Jehovah." All right, so they're going to rejoice when America goes under, right? The governments, at least. But when you read Revelation 18, you'll realize that the merchants are going to mourn. All right, all these billionaires, that billionaire class that don't really have an allegiance to any particular country. See, they're going to mourn and they're going to go in hiding. You read, I believe, Amos 9, it might be 5, where they're going to try to go underground. They're going to try to go in the water. They're going to try to go, all different types of places to escape. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to find it real quick. Dig into hell. Yeah, Amos 9 and 2. I'll start at 1. Amos 9 and 1. I saw the Lord standing up on the altar, and he said, "Smite the lintel of the door that the posts may shake." All right, and the posts are going to shake from thermonuclear destruction and cut them in the head, all of them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away. So even the one that you try to get away, we're going to just hit you with the sword. There's going to be chariots shooting laser beams, taking every one of you demons. It's going to be complete judgment. It's going to be beautiful. All right. It says, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. So even if you escape the missiles, the chariots, the sword, all the famine and pestilence, even if you escape all of that, right? It says you're still not going to be delivered. In verse 2, it says, though they dig into hell, then shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, because you got Edomites talking about building an ark on the moon. They're trying to send semen samples and of every animal. 6 million different species of animals. They're trying to go and put out there in the heavens. Utterly through, man. It says, though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. So Leviathan is going to get busy on y'all, man. You got these underwater bunkers. Y'all are not going to escape the judgment of the Heavenly Father at the end of the day. So it's beautiful. I'll end it on that. Hopefully y'all brothers were edified. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakakadash Shalawam Wa Abba Babal.